It was pretty much exactly 1 year ago today that my entire lifestyle transformation really began. So for a little bit of context, I got here where I'm living now in August of 2021. I had started with a plan for my career. You know, I wanted to go back to school. I really wanted to start diving into YouTube more. And, you know, I wanted to start working as a personal trainer, if not just like working somewhere that would get my foot in the door as a personal trainer. Now, these were my ambitions to start with, but I didn't exactly have a step-by-step plan on how to get there. So things inevitably kind of took a tumble a month or two in. I guess I didn't anticipate the difficulty level of restarting your entire life from scratch. Now, it was a good thing, and I was excited because I was starting over with a clean slate. I had the opportunity to start things over from scratch, reestablish myself, and get a new social circle, and figure things out all over again. But something that Jordan Peterson talks about a lot is once you escape tyranny, you're not exactly going into a utopia, you're probably going into the desert. So despite having listened to Jordan Peterson all those years, I wasn't exactly prepared for the leap into the desert. So fast forward from August to May, I had pretty much lost any discipline. I had lost any semblance of any sort of plan. I was just living aimlessly. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was pretty apparent to the people around me. One day, I was house sitting for a friend of mine. I was watching the house and their cats, and I get a ring from my dad. And he's quite a blunt person, so he tries to sugarcoat it, but he just comes right out and says, "I don't think you know what the fuck you're doing. I think you're living aimlessly. I don't think you have any sort of plan. I'm worried, I'm concerned. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You're not looking at the big picture here. You're kind of living in a fantasy world." As he would say, your head is up your ass. And during that conversation, I really couldn't do anything other than just sit there and listen, because I knew he was right. And that's how those conversations usually go. So I just had to sit there and think about that. I didn't necessarily have a response. All I knew was that I just had to act on it. Saying anything wouldn't mean anything. I just had to do something about it. I had to seriously consider my options and what my next step was going to be. And I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off, because I really didn't know what the best option was. And something I've learned during this process is there really isn't necessarily going to be a best option. You just have to assess everything, all of your possible next moves, and you just have to have faith that it is the right one. And you just have to know that there is a good chance that the next step is not the right one, and that you're just gonna have to adapt. I think I may have mentioned it before, but I'm a bit of a lazy ass. So the idea of working more, sending out applications, or going back to school was daunting, to say the least. One day I was driving to work. I'd somehow discovered this dude called Kevin Samuels, and he has a lot of podcasts. Yeah, he has a lot of podcasts where he brings people onto his show, and they can ask him questions, and he has a conversation with them. And I distinctly remember this one conversation he had with a kid pretty much fresh out of high school. He was going to college, and he had a part-time job. He was maybe working 20 hours a week. And Kevin Samuels basically just tore into this kid. Basically just said, like, what the hell are you doing? You're going to school to get a useless degree that you can't use. No one's going to hire you if you get this degree. You're only working 20 hours a week. You're living with your mom. She's paying for everything for you. Your groceries, rent, electricity, yada yada yada. And what you want me to tell you how to make $1 million? You're looking for free money, kid. No matter what I tell you here today, it's not going to work because you don't have the work ethic to become what's called a high value man. You should be working 60 hours minimum. And he wasn't talking to me in that video, obviously, but it felt like it did. That was it was a double whammy because I had just gotten out of that conversation with my dad. It was still on my mind. And then I'm hearing this from Kevin Samuels, and I was just like, well, damn, there it is. There's the answer staring in front of my face. There's no reason I can't be working 60 hours minimum. So it was at that moment that I had made the decision to just pick something, stick with it, and try to work as much as possible. And so it was at that point that I had decided to get my personal training certification, go down the personal training hole, figure it out, try to build up my resume. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'll figure it out from there because I still have a pretty decent safety net. I have a decent backup plan. So my options are grand. And now here I am in the hustle, working pretty much 60 hours a week. My hours at the Y have kind of reduced, so now it's kind of like 50 hours, but even so, I consider doing this YouTube stuff work as well, because hopefully at some point we start getting paid for it. But all in all, the reason I started working 60 hours a week is because I knew in my heart it was just something that I needed to do. A lot of me had wanted to do it for a very long time. I was just too trepidatious to start, and really just having that slap in the face, that real life down to earth conversation, hearing someone as successful as Kevin Samuels, just hearing all these, entrepreneurs, like YouTube people talking about, grind, Gary Vee, people like that. I knew it was time to get off my lazy ass and bust it, to stop living like a fucking loser. I'm very grateful to my past self for having taken those steps. My past self, for the most part, 99%, was an absolute idiot. But every once in a while, past self, you make some good decisions. Every once in a while. You have built the habit of weightlifting and working out every single day. You've built the habit of meal prepping. You've now built the habit of YouTubing. You've built the habit of working long hours. And you have now built the habit of quality work. And that's something that we're still working on. That's life. It's a process. This has been something that I've been reminiscing on for quite a while. Just the reason I am in this to begin with, because sometimes you just need a reminder of why you do it. I like the idea of building my resume. I like the idea of building up towards the future. For the YouTube channel, it's probably not the most efficient way, but I'm just trying to build a library of videos. If nothing else, just to prove that I can do this consistently. As many troubles as I have been having recently in terms of productivity and time management, all things considered, compared to who I was 1 year ago, I am 2,000% better. That's it. Sometimes you just need to give yourself some perspective. It could be a lot worse. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.